I debated whether or not I wanted to do this video for a while because I feel like I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to sleep after reading these books. Originally, I was going to do just the scariest books I've ever heard of before, but I figured to make it easier on myself in terms of this vlog, but also in terms of being scared for the rest of my life, that I would just do spooky novellas. This way, I can get through a lot of them quickly, and also I'm not lingering in a super long spooky book. I will be reading a non-spooky book at nighttime though. I will not be reading any of these at night because I will not sleep. It will be a miracle if I will sleep even after just reading them during the day. It's like when you watch a horror movie, but then you have to watch like a rom-com or like Family Guy or something afterwards to, you know, just cleanse the palate. That's what I'm going to be doing. All that to say though, I am very excited for this video. Excited and nervous. A little bit mad because none of my libraries have any of these books. So that's a little bit annoying. Where I live, all of the surrounding towns' libraries are connected. So if you have one library card, then you can borrow books from all of them in the surrounding area. And literally none of them have any of the novellas that I put on my list to read. Annoying. So I think we're going to be doing a lot of Kindle reading. I'm probably going to have to order some books, which I don't like because I'm on a book buying ban. And I also just don't like to buy books unless I know that I love them, because it just feels kind of wasteful to read a book and then be like, oh, that was terrible. You know what I mean? None of them are on Kindle Unlimited either, but there are 2 or 3 that are only like $5 on Kindle. So that's good. I'm honestly hoping that I get scared, but also I'm scared to be scared. But anyways, let's talk about the book that started this idea in the first place, and which I will be reading first, and that is Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. If you've seen any of my short form content lately, you know that this has a horrible rating on Goodreads. It's like a 2.7 or something like that. I think it's somewhere around like 120 something pages. I just randomly bought this thrifting one day because I thought it looked so spooky, and I love a short book. Didn't even look at the rating. If I looked at the rating, I probably wouldn't have bought it. But I'm still very curious, and I'm not going to get rid of it before reading it because it's going to take 2 seconds to read. So why not just read it, and I'll see how I feel about it myself. This is basically about a group of people who go to this spooky mansion. Little do they know, there is a creepy ghost bride that's buried underneath this mansion, and she has a black smile and a hungry heart, and she gets lonely down there in the dirt. I've read 4 pages so far, and I will say I'm not a huge fan of what's happening with the writing style. It kind of feels like it's trying to be poetic, and to me, I don't know that I want to read a book that's like trying to be poetic when it's just supposed to be like spooky. I don't know. So I'm wondering if people don't like it maybe because of the writing style, because already I'm picking up on the fact that I don't really like the writing style. So I'm going to be very curious to read people's reviews after finishing this one, but that's what we're starting with. Let's go read. A few hours later, and we are halfway through Nothing But Blackened Teeth. The writing style is a little strange still. It's just a little bit more flowery than I personally would like in like a horror novel, I guess. Although I will say that the writing is making for like a very vivid kind of experience, I guess. We are just now at 50%-ish, a little over 50%, getting into what seems to be kind of like the spooky part. So up until now, we've just been kind of learning the dynamics of these characters. We have 5 young characters. We have 3 guys and 2 girls. One of the guys is getting married to one of the girls. It seems like they all went to school together and they all have kind of like hooked up with each other before. So it makes for kind of like a tense atmosphere a little bit, or like a tense dynamic. Not everybody is trusting each other. That kind of like adds to the spookiness. Our main character, whose POV we're in, it has been alluded to that she has had like a very hard year, and that she potentially / probably was in kind of like a mental hospital for a little while for suicidal thoughts and ideologies, and the experience of being like in this haunted house with all of her quote unquote friends is kind of triggering for her a little bit, and she's hearing voices. So we're kind of like, is she just having like another mental breakdown, or is she actually hearing something? I'm gonna guess she's actually probably hearing something. We've already seen the spooky lady on the cover. Overall, in terms of like spook, I'm not spooked. The writing style is almost kind of like dreamlike also in a way. So it's kind of like the descriptions of like the spooky stuff isn't as spooky because it feels almost like a fever dream rather than like something that's actually happening to them. I don't know. I'm intrigued. So far, I can see why people don't like this book, but I don't know that I would go as far as to give it a 2 stars. But we will just have to see what happens. I'm probably going to leave the second half of this for tomorrow. It's starting to get late and we're starting to get into the spooky part. So I want to sleep tonight. So I think I'm going to pick up a romance or something to read at night during this vlog. That's how I'm feeling about this so far. I'm very intrigued to see what happens. I'm glad this isn't long because it is feeling tedious and it's only been like 50 pages or something. So I will catch back up with you guys tomorrow. Hi guys, I am making myself breakfast. I'm having an egg sandwich that I've been obsessing over. I use jalapeno cheddar bread and a fried egg and cheese and avocado. It's so good. I am going to listen to Nothing But Blackened Teeth while I eat breakfast and get ready to film. I have to film a YouTube video. I do not have much left. I have been listening all morning, but I have 15% left, which is not a lot. It's like a few pages. Let's finish this up. I will say, not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. Probably should have listened to the people that told me this wasn't that great. No harm, no foul. It's only like 120 pages. Let's just finish it up to say that we read it. Trying to find my spot in the book that I'm at because I was listening to it.
He's my best friend and an absolute fucking idiot. A bristling of rage, not anger. Lynn never did anything halfway.
I don't even know what's going on right now. Wait, what? Oh. Ugh. Okay. I just finished it. Yeah. No. It was gory. It was not as scary as I was hoping. It was a fever dream. Yeah. I just kind of like didn't really know what was happening. And then all of a sudden somebody was dead. The writing is very, you'd have to be a certain kind of person to like this writing. It's very poetic and lush. It's less focused on horror and more focused on like the lush writing and like Japanese folklore, which is kind of cool. Like that part is cool. Yeah. I don't know what to rate this. I'm just looking at the reviews right now. Well, on Goodreads, I put it as a 2 stars, but I'm gonna think about it more because I literally just finished it. I really liked her metaphors, but they were a little bit too abundant for me. It was kind of like the whole entire thing was just metaphor after metaphor. Like not everything being described needs a metaphor. Also, not everything needs to be described. It was just too flowery for my liking, but in a sense, like it was kind of beautiful. Maybe beautiful is not the right word. She really gave you a sense of how people were feeling and the house that they were in and like the spooky things going on. It wasn't for me, guys. Let's move on because I want something to actually spook me and something that's actually a page turner. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I think I said at least, none of the books that I put on my list for this video are at my library or on Libby. I've been saying it for a long time now, but I'm on a book buying ban and I'm really trying desperately not to buy books. I know that there was a few that I saw that are on Kindle that are only like $5. I'm just gonna take a look on Kindle right now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 other books on this list. So the books that I have on my list are We Need to Do Something, Helpmeet, Carmilla, and Goddess of Filth. I would be open to reading any of those. I think the one that I don't want to read as much is Carmilla because I'm scared that that's going to be kind of like a writing style that might be hard to get used to because it was written so long ago. It's kind of like reading Dracula, where it's like it takes a little bit more brain power to get used to the writing style. So, okay, I'm gonna have Siri choose because I literally can't. So I'm gonna put We Need to Do Something as 1, Helpmeet as 2, and Goddess of Filth as 3. I do really want to read Carmilla. I think I just need something fast-paced after the book we just read. Pick a number 1 through 3. I got Snapchat right as that came in, but she picked 2. Helpmeet. I've heard this is very spooky. Let's see if it's on Kindle. I think it was Goddess of Filth is like $10 on Kindle and I couldn't find it anywhere else, which kind of stinks because I am kind of excited for that one. But anyways, let's see. Yeah, Helpmeet is $4.99. And so that's 3.5 stars or 3.6. It's 1900 and Louise Wilk is taking her dying husband home to Buffalo where he grew up. Dr. Edward Wilk is wasting away from an aggressive and debilitating malady, but it's becoming clear that his condition isn't exactly a disease, but a phase of existence that seeks to transform and ultimately possess him. Interesting. Okay, it's downloading. It's 9 chapters. Just like Nothing But Blackened Teeth. 66 pages long. Shorter than Nothing But Blackened Teeth. Let's go read. I am 56% of the way through Helpmeet chapter 4, and I don't know how I feel about it yet. Almost 60% of the way through, and I haven't been overly spooked yet. One of our main characters, the guy that has the illness and is essentially, we think, being possessed, just said some creepy stuff at the end of chapter 3. So I'm hoping that some sketchy stuff starts to happen because up until this point, it's been a little bit bland. There has been like some pretty grotesque imagery, I'll say, of his illness, which has been gross and definitely horror. So yeah, he just basically said to his wife something like,
"We have a visitor. She's coming soon. She visited me at midnight the other night, but she told me that it wasn't time yet."
so that's creepy. That's creepy. I feel like we're about to get into the creepy zone of this book. So yeah, I'm on page 40 and we're almost 60% of the way through. Talk about a short book. So yeah, I'm very curious to see if this is going to be more like horror in terms of like the grotesque, gross descriptions of his illness and more kind of like body horror, or if it's going to actually be like paranormal scary. Like I am looking to be like paranormal scared, and I did not find it in the last book. And I'm hoping to find it in this book. We'll see. It is very mysterious and gross so far. I'll say that. Hi guys. Editing Emma here. For some reason, I don't know what that reason is, but the videos that I took of me finishing up Helpmeet and talking to you guys about it, the audio on them got totally corrupted and you can't hear anything, which stinks. So I'm gonna try to remember kind of what I said about Helpmeet. I did not find it to be spooky in the way that I wanted it to be. I was really hoping to find something a little bit more paranormal, and I think it was paranormal to a degree, but there was a lot of like body horror. Like I said before, I think it leaned more towards like body horror instead of like paranormal horror, but there was still some paranormal aspects to it, but like the paranormal aspect wasn't really that scary to me. It was just, I don't know. Overall, I thought this was okay. I'm not really used to reading horror books, so I guess I don't really know what to expect, but I think on Fable, I gave this a 3.25. It was very unique. Like the concept at the end, my jaw was just like on the floor because I was like, what is even happening right now? And it was so grotesque and disgusting. Definitely do not recommend this book to anyone that can't handle body horror because whoa. There were moments throughout where I was genuinely spooked, so I will give it that, but like the spooky feeling wasn't very like lingering. It was just kind of like while I was reading it, and then I was just like disturbed by the body horror. I've heard some people say that this was like the scariest book they've ever read before, and I don't know if I would go so far as to say it was scary. It was just gross, like so gross. The details of his illness and just like how it got worse and worse and worse, and then it just kind of like morphed into something completely different. And yeah, I liked the uniqueness of it. We all know I love a good unique book, so for that, I feel like it deserves above 3 stars, because anything that shocks me or just gives me a crazy reaction is generally going to get probably at least a 3 stars just for that fact. The beginning of this was very slow, and I think a lot of what we got in the beginning was pretty unnecessary. There was like a lot of unnecessary development of the characters. For a 66-page novella, like there was just too much character development in the beginning. Not development, but like learning about the characters like very in depth. And I just feel like that was kind of unnecessary and made it slow. Yeah, overall, I think this is probably in like the 3.2 star range. I would not recommend this. I wouldn't just like recommend this on TikTok and be like, oh, here's a horror book to read. The only way that I would recommend this is if somebody genuinely liked body horror. Like if someone was like, I want a grotesque horror book, then I would recommend this. But I wouldn't get on the internet and tell people to read this, because I feel like in general, probably more than half of the people that watch my videos at least would not enjoy this. But anyways, that's how I feel about Helpmeet. My camera also cut off me talking about the next book that I'm starting. I was looking and looking and looking all over Kindle like I was doing before for Helpmeet, and I decided on the Haar because it's on Kindle Unlimited and it looks so spooky. And I think I mentioned in my videos that I'm really hoping to get more of like a paranormal kind of book rather than a book with lots of body horror. I like ghosts and like entities and things like that. Like that is the kind of stuff that like spooks me. I'm finding that I'm not like against body horror, which is kind of funny to say, but also it's not like my favorite thing to read. I'm not like, yeah, I really want to read that. It does give the shock factor. So yeah, in the Haar, I'm looking for something a little more paranormal, spooky that will kind of keep me up at night. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. Hi. So you remember that time that I said I kind of don't want to read any more body horror? This book is very much body horror, and I should have known from the cover. You would think. I'm 53% of the way through the Haar. This is a absolutely wild ride. It's about this old woman in Scotland. She lives in like a small little town at the seaside, and this rich guy is coming in and like buying up all of the houses so that he can build a golf course. And she and a couple of the other townsfolk are like refusing to give away their houses. But one day she ends up going to the seaside. She ends up going to a cave where her late husband proposed to her like years before. And there she finds the son of the man who's buying up all of the houses. And he basically beats the living out of her. An 88-year-old woman. This kid just like beats the out of her. And she passes out, and eventually she wakes up and she's like crawling her way home, and she finds this blob on a rock. And the blob is like sentient. It's like an animal, and she can hear it talking to her in her head, and it needs help, and it's dying, and she's also dying. And she like touches it, and it fixes all of her wounds and like makes her younger, not by a lot, but just like it makes her younger by like a few years, like 5 years, but it still needs help. So she goes back to her house. I don't even know what she does. She comes back for it, and she brings it into her bathtub at home, and she nurses it back to health. And from there, I won't I won't spoil it in case you want to read it. I don't know if you're gonna want to read this. I guess if you're watching this, you're interested in horror books. So I fear that if I was not making this vlog, I would DNF this, because I see where it's going. I've already seen enough. I'm like that meme of Justin Bieber.
Cause I don't care.
Yeah, immediately no. Immediately no. I'm telling you right now, I seen what I needed to see.
Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby.
No.
Immediately no. But I'm gonna push through it. I'm at 50%. I'm just gonna try to keep going. It's not awful. It's not like the writing is bad or anything. It's just like the body horror is icky. It's like, I don't know if I can say that the body horror is worse than Helpmeet, because Helpmeet's body horror was also really bad. There's a lot of gore in the Haar. This vlog is going very differently than I expected it to go, honestly. I thought I was going to be like scared, paranormal, ghosts, demons, like that kind of thing. Like that is what I was kind of trying to get myself into. And it just took like a 180, and we're on like the body horror, gore side of horror. I don't know how. I guess I should have like looked into my books a little bit more. I am going to try to read one more book after this book, and I am just very much hoping that I can get something paranormal and spooky in that way. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Like I said, I probably would DNF this if I was just reading it of my own volition, but I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep pushing through for you guys. It's a novella. Like that's the good thing about this vlog too, is like it's a novella. It's not super long. If it was super long, I would be DNFing it. I think this is the longest of the 3 that I've read so far. I think this is like 200 something pages. Really hoping for a spooky read next. Not that this isn't spooky, because like it is kind of paranormal in a way, or just, I don't know even how to explain it. Like it is a little bit spooky, but it's not like keeping me up at night spooky. That's where I'm at. Let's just keep going. Hello, hello. It is maybe like a week later here, a week and a half or so, and I have finished the Haar. To me, this book was actually very similar to Helpmeet. It had like a very unique plot line and a lot of yucky body horror, which I know that I had already said before. I actually have such a hard time rating it. I had a hard time rating Helpmeet as well, both of them, just because I am someone that very much so enjoys a unique book. Like if it is a concept that I just have never even heard of, or there's something about a unique story, and both of these books were that. They were very, very unique. Obviously, I don't really read this genre. It's not like one of my top genres, so like maybe they're not as unique as I think, but that part about them I really loved, and it makes it hard because I'm not really into like body horror exactly. Like I guess I'm not opposed to it, I'm finding, which is kind of interesting because I thought that I would be like really grossed out and like I would really hate it. I don't know. This is just very hard to rate. On Fable, I think I rated this a 3.25 stars. And as of now, like I think I'm gonna stick with that. But I just really enjoyed the uniqueness of it, although it was like very weird and definitely not one that I would recommend lightly or recommend to just anyone. I feel like this and Helpmeet are two books that are a very specific kind of audience. But if you're someone that's not bothered by body horror and you like a unique story, maybe try these. I went back and forth about what book I wanted to read next, and I decided on We Need to Do Something by Max Booth III. I decided on this, there was a few factors that had me deciding on this one. It was one that I was very excited for, and it was one that wasn't too expensive on Kindle. Also on my list was Goddess of Filth, which is one that I really wanted to pick up, but it was $10 on Kindle, and I don't know, that just seems too expensive for me, and I just hate to buy full-priced books when I haven't read them yet because I don't know if I'm gonna like them, and none of the libraries around me had it. So I decided on We Need to Do Something because I'm also very excited for this one, and it was only $5.99 on Kindle, so I was like, okay, sure. There's also a movie adaptation of this one, and I watched the trailer for it, and it got me like even more hyped up to read it. I think this is like 200 something pages, and the description of it is like one sentence long. A family on the verge of self-destruction finds themselves isolated in their bathroom during a tornado warning. That's the only description. I do think that this one is going to end up being paranormal just from the movie trailer that I watched. I wonder if I can get my brother to watch this movie with me after I read the book, but he's not really a big fan of like horror. But it just sounds really good. The average rating is a 3.4. Would like to not read about body horror anymore, I think, but I have a feeling this might have some aspect of it in it. We'll see. I don't know. I am really looking forward to this one though. There's a woman that I watched like a couple years ago talk about this book on TikTok, and her reaction made me very intrigued by it. So I'm just excited to see what this is all about. So let's go read. finished We Need to Do Something. I finished it in one day, which is the first book that I have ever read in one day. So that was kind of cool. I forgot to update you guys at 50% because I was just plowing through it. It was very fast paced. The writing style was super easy and it definitely had me on my toes the whole time. Did I like it? That's hard to say. I thought that it was going to be like super paranormal, like especially even like halfway through. I was like, ooh, like something spooky's gonna happen. There's like something involving a ritual in this. And then by the end, everyone is just kind of tripping balls and it just goes from like 0 to 100 in terms of we're in reality and now reality is blurred, which is another thing that I really love is like when reality starts to twist and blur. That's another aspect of books that I really like, but it's hard for me to say I liked this book. If you've read any of these books, hopefully you understand what I'm talking about, like that feeling. But yeah, I thought it was going to be kind of paranormal. It was like slightly paranormal, but then by the end, it just ended up being blurred reality and body horror. Again, body horror. It's just so crazy that I went into this vlog thinking that, oh, I'm going to like spook myself. Like I'm going to read some sort of like paranormal. Like I was going for something like The Grudge or like something like that, where there's like an old like demon entity thing, and I didn't get that. I did not get that. I mean, I did get that a little bit in Helpmeet. I got that in Nothing But Blackened Teeth, but it wasn't like spooky enough for me to like scare me. It was just like gross. What would I rate this book? 3.25 or a 3.5. The ending was rather annoying. I don't suggest reading this if you like to know what's going on at the end of your books, because you are definitely left with questions, and it's a bit frustrating because we really don't find out what is going on. It's kind of left up for interpretation, which again is another one of those things that like I really like, but also is so frustrating at the same time. It reminds me of the feeling that I got when I read Bunny by Mona Awad. I really enjoyed that book. Yeah, it's just that feeling of like, oh, so we don't actually know what just happened. Like the craziest stuff just happened, but we don't know why. And we have no conclusion to that. I feel like all of the books, essentially, that I read in this vlog are very hard for me to rate and hard for me to understand if I like them or not. I didn't dislike any of these books. Well, I kind of disliked Nothing But Blackened Teeth.
No, I kind of really disliked that one.
But the other three just have very similar feelings in my mind. It's almost kind of like, I feel like I shouldn't like this. Like I said before, all of these stories felt like so unique. I don't know, I just love like books that are just like so out of pocket, like so out there and so weird. Anything that shocks me will have me questioning if I liked the book more than I did. And all three of the most recent books that I read for this vlog have had that extreme shock factor and that uniqueness that make me question if I like these. This almost feels like something I have to come to terms with in myself. These are not books that I would recommend. I'll say that. I wouldn't recommend these unless somebody told me outright, like, ooh, I love horror books with like body horror. That's like the only time that I would recommend these books. Or if someone was like, I want like a unique horror book that's going to be like so gross. I don't know how else to explain it. If I had to rank all of the books that I read in this vlog, the worst would be Nothing But Blackened Teeth. It was not good. The more that I think on it, the more I'm like, oh man, I wish I didn't spend $9 at the thrift store for that book, but it's fine. So yeah, Nothing But Blackened Teeth. I think the top one is definitely going to be We Need to Do Something, because it was just so fast paced. And even though like it was so yucky, like there was one part in this book where I got such bad chills. Like I got the chills and I was like, oh no. I don't know. Maybe it's like a 3.5 or like maybe it's even like a 3.75. And I'm having a hard time deciding where Helpmeet and the Haar are going to go. I want to say the second best would be Helpmeet, I guess, because of the shock factor. But also Helpmeet for me was extremely slow. I just feel like there was a lot of unnecessary backstory. Like, it's just a novella and there was like so much backstory to our characters. So I don't know. I didn't really like that. And the Haar was just so strange. And I remember, I think I actually said it to you guys. I think I remember saying that I wanted to DNF it and that if I was just reading it on my own, not for a vlog, I would have DNF'd it. So I think it's gonna go. We need to do something. Helpmeet, the Haar, nothing but Blackened teeth. But I will say, even though like we did this ranking, I wouldn't necessarily say I fully enjoyed myself through any of these. Oh, I feel so sad that I didn't find something that I absolutely loved. Well, guys, if you love body horror and very strange, very out there horror books, I highly recommend these. Actually, I don't recommend Nothing But Blackened Teeth. I don't recommend reading that. It was not good. But the other three, if you like that kind of stuff, I suggest it. To anyone else in the world, I don't know that I would suggest it. I feel like I would feel embarrassed to suggest these to like a normal person, you know? And also like embarrassed to say like, oh, like I didn't hate these. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this chaotic, silly, weird horror novella vlog. I would love to know what you guys are reading in October. Are you reading any horror books that are good? Let me know if there's any horror novellas that are paranormal. Like I'm talking like an entity type of spooky. Like that is the kind of stuff that freaks me out, like ghosts and entities and like demons and things like that. But until next week, guys, bye.